Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the online VGC 20 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. We're just getting started right away with today's episode as we're going up against a really cool team. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of like a 2012-2013 team with the Arcanine, Amoonguss, Tyranitar, Gyarados. Our opponent's also really highly rated, so excited to see what that team has to offer, but we're still using the Sandslash team. This is going to be the last episode with this team. It's been a lot of fun. We've honestly had a lot of cool games with it. You're way more intense than I would have anticipated in the last 2 days, so highly recommend you guys check those episodes out if you haven't seen it already. And rental code for this team is also in the description below. But I really don't like the matchup for the first game today because Intimidate, I think, is one of the best ways to stop Sandslash and Ninetales. And then you also have Tyranitar. So like these two become far less effective, plus the Duraludon. So I don't know if I can even justify bringing it in this first game, honestly. I'm leaning to, like, Primarina is probably the Pokemon we want to Dynamax, but here's my problem. I have a bunch of problems. The Snarl from Arcanine is scary. That's already a start. Duraludon, I mean, Duraludon's, I guess, not the toughest. I do think we Dynamax Primarina, but I might lead Cinderace Primarina, and based off my opponent's lead, go from there. And I think I want Rillaboom and Ninetales in the back. Ninetales is actually surprisingly good offensively with Blizzard in this game. So, yeah. I don't know. I think it's a really cool team from my opponent's end, and I think, you know, I haven't played this team definitely to like the best of its ability, and there also are, it's like, yeah, like Ninetales and Sandslash are cool Pokemon, or that duo is pretty cool, but Sandslash is just a lot more limiting, I think, as a weather sweeper than other Pokemon, like, for example, Ludicolo or Kingdra or Charizard, Venusaur, for example. So it's gonna be Grimmsnarl, Duraludon, and this is pretty scary, I think, for a bunch of reasons, because there's Thunder Wave pressure immediately, so you could, like, Thunder Wave Max Wormwind into the Cinderace, you could Fake Tears, you could also maybe have Trick, so, yeah. I mean, Grimmsnarl in best of one, you know, you gotta figure out what set it is. It's always, I think, one of the most difficult things about playing around it. So, we're gonna get into the first game. As always, if you guys enjoy, please show your support by leaving a like, I'd really appreciate it. And, let's see how we want to approach this. I'm really scared of the Trick here, honestly. You could Trick, you could Screens. Like, what I want to do, honestly, is switch Cinderace out into Ninetales, expecting a Wormwind into that slot. And I'm going to respect Trick on turn 1, I think, and just Moonblast into Grimmsnarl instead of Dynamaxing. Because if we lose our Dynamax, there's no way we win this game. You know, like, if we lose it immediately on turn 1, I think we just insta-lose. So, by going for this, I keep my Cinderace safe for another turn. I might have maybe wanted to max the Primarina, because High Jump Kick does a ton into Duraludon here. Of course, my opponent might just commit, like, Fake Tears, Max Lightning onto the Primarina, which would be really bad, so we didn't have a super safe play turn 1, and that's because Grimmsnarl could be so many different sets. Yeah. I love to see Duraludon here, honestly. I think it's one of my favorite Pokemon from the format from the year, and I think it's actually kind of underplayed right now, so props to my opponent for running it. Let's see. They didn't Trick. They just Light Screen, which actually I'm kind of surprised by. But if it's a Wormwind, this is still fine. Wow. Is that it going into... Okay, Primarina. I was like, man, if you Steel Spiked into the Cinderace switch out, that's especially impressive. Although I guess you'd expect it to change types. Okay, so we don't see Trick come out. There's no Life Orb either, so it's most likely Assault Vest on the, yeah, on the Duraludon. So I'm guessing Light Clay then on the Grimmsnarl and then Assault Vest. Which means I can at least set up screens this next turn. Like, I'm surprised they don't have Max Lightning or didn't go for it, but perhaps they just wanted that defense boost. Like, I think that would make a lot of sense. So, like, I want to Aurora Veil here and just go for a Moonblast. I want to KO the Grimmsnarl just because I don't want it, like, going for Thunder Waves. But they're going to switch out, okay? Into Arcanine? Tyranitar. Ooh! I keep getting baited into this. I always click Aurora Veil without even... This is my problem with Ninetales, right? Like, what in the world is it going to do here when there's any weather control from the opposing end? It can't do anything, basically. Okay, so Steel Spike comes out. Yeah, like, that's... Ninetales is tough. Like, if you... You can never get a safe Aurora Veil up if your opponent has weather, but I also wanted to bring it to control the weather, because, like, if I could change the weather, that would be really good, but tough. Yeah, nicely done on my opponent's end. I mean, yeah, that was, like, a super safe, easy switch to make, but a good one at that. We lose a lot of momentum off that. Yep, and it's policy as well. However, I can obviously bring out Cinderace right now and just go for a Max Knuckle onto that slot, so it's not the end of the world. Actually, I probably want to go Rillaboom first, right? I mean, if I bring out Rillaboom, they're just going to protect. But maybe that's fine. Because they don't have Reflect up right now. They do have a defense boost on the Tyranitar, but I think Grassy Glide should still KO. So the safe play here is to glide into the Tyranitar. And I think I might have to respect it just because it is at +2 special attack. So I'm just going to glide Moonblast. I think Tyranitar protecting here is so obvious, but I can't risk it. Like, as fancy as it is to knock off onto the Duraludon, yeah, I don't really get too much value. So this is one of the many reasons why I'm not like the biggest fan of Ninetales in the current metagame. They actually have Max Lightning. Wow, they had it this whole time, huh? But it doesn't KO Primarina. I would have actually preferred to have fainted there. That's actually really bad because my opponent just changed the terrain, right? So now it's a question of how fast the Tyranitar is. I mean, Rillaboom should be faster than it. Moonblast actually does some nice damage. Oh, we're gonna faint from sand anyway, so we're good. Okay. I think this is fine. My only problem is not knowing how fast Tyranitar is relative to us, because if we do outspeed it, like I can just bring out Cinderace, Max Knuckle, Grassy Glide right now. It might be safer just to Knuckle into the Tyranitar slot. So this team had a little bit of everything that countered us. It had Intimidate, Terrain Control, and Weather, which I think are all essential to a good team in this format, so it's not surprising to see that, but well played on my opponent's end for sure. 2 defense boosts. We know the Tyranitar's Policied up. What's in the back? I can switch into a Knuckle. Gyarados or Amoonguss. I would think Arcanine's in the back, personally. I don't think I'm KOing Duraludon here anyway, right? So I want a Knuckle. I'm expecting to be faster than Tyranitar with Rillaboom. So I think I'm going to just glide into Tyranitar, Max, and then Knuckle into the Duraludon. Tyranitar also might switch out here, but it stays in, okay? This is just my bad. I don't remember how much speed investment this Rillaboom has. I should have checked, actually, before the turn started, but this should be okay. Knockoff, I guess, could have been valuable because we would have gotten rid of the potential Assault Vest. I think that has to be Assault Vest based off how my opponent's been playing this. Okay, so we'll get the Knuckle off. It's not going to KO, but it should still be a 2-hit KO onto Cinderace, I would think. Or onto Duraludon after we get the attack boost. Oh, wow, that's actually pretty close to a 1-hit KO. Yeah, they needed 2 defense boosts to survive that. Okay. Let's see if we can pull a comeback right now with Cinderace, then. I mean, they probably, what, Draco into Rillaboom? Yep. So that's okay. Well, let's see how much we take here. I don't know if that's okay, actually. Okay, we survive. See if we outspeed Tyranitar. We kind of need to have a chance of winning this. No, they're faster. Okay, then I should have just targeted the Tyranitar with Knuckle first. Yeah. I think this Rillaboom is... How? Yeah, it doesn't have... It's not max speed for sure. So I should have double-checked that. Even if I Knuckle Tyranitar... I could have Knuckle Tyranitar knockoff, I guess, and then hope that Cinderace sweeps. That was my best bet. Although, honestly, Cinderace could still pull this off by itself. It could legit 4v1 right now, because Duraludon does no damage. We get a knockout onto the Tyranitar slot. Grimmsnarl on the back isn't doing much either. But, yeah. Wasn't sure how fast my opponent's Tyranitar was going to be there. A lot of players are opting for more speed investment on Tyranitars nowadays, so that was a little bit of a misplay. Should have double-checked my speed beforehand instead of assuming I'd be faster. Okay. They're going to Body Press, actually. Which is actually going to... Yeah, with Body Press, they do enough. So that's definitely Assault Vested. So if I Knuckle knocked off... I mean, Rillaboom would still be close to fainting. I think Grimmsnarl would still close it out. Like, the main problem for us in this game was that Ninetales was completely useless, right? We brought it in, and then it just fainted. Which is one of my many problems with it. And that's just a testament to how the metagame is pretty anti-Ninetales right now, because, in my opinion, the best thing Ninetales can do... Okay, they are going to Reflect. I mean, if Grimmsnarl doesn't have offense, like, we'll KO Duraludon, we can one-shot whatever's coming in. Like, normally you have foul play, right? So I don't think we can win this, but... That's why I just needed one more Pokemon. I think if the Rillaboom actually outsped the Tyranitar, we pick up the knockout onto that slot before you get a Rock Slide off. Then I stick around with the Rillaboom for longer. Cinderace doesn't take much damage. So, yeah. I think this was definitely a winnable matchup for sure. The Tyranitar switching was just very safe, very smart. I got baited into it. Might have been smarter to have, like, protected Ninetales or something. Unless for some reason Grimmsnarl does not have an attack here. That's our one way to win this. Reflect is up. We are at +2 attack, though. Yeah, they're... Oh, wait, sorry, +3 attack. I mean, I think we just go for the +3 bounce on a Gyarados and hope that Grimmsnarl for some reason doesn't have an attacking move. You should have Spirit Breaker. Foul play, though. But if it doesn't, then we can actually win this. So let's see. Okay, Waterfall. Yeah, they have Spirit Break. Alright, that's game. Unless Spirit Break doesn't KO after Life Orb, there's no way. Yeah, there's no way. You can just protect Gyarados now. This is actually a really close game, right? Like, imagine if I actually had anything... Like, imagine if I didn't have Ninetales, basically. Is that one shot? This thing is so strong. Like, we got 3 one-hit KOs, right? Essentially with Cinderace. Or not, sorry, not one-hit KOs. Yeah, I guess targeting the Tyranitar slot would have been better. Like, this was a clear Cinderace sweep game, so I misplayed by... Kritzos, but I don't think it matters there. I misplayed by assuming Rillaboom was faster than Tyranitar. I shouldn't have made that assumption. Yeah, that was kind of a poor assumption on my end. So I should have just... If I just Knuckled into the Tyranitar knockoff, it doesn't guarantee us the win. But, you know, knockoff's damage is increased. Then we have the attack boost, meaning that I'm thinking maybe Cinderace can just knock out the Duraludon the subsequent turn with the +1 attack. Because it looked like it would have been able to pick up the knockout. So the main thing that I needed to not do in that game was take damage with Cinderace, and I took too much by allowing Tyranitar to stay in. I was expecting maybe like a switch out there as well, but that one turn cost me, so... That's why, yeah, always double check your spreads, and if you're not confident in outspeeding, then assume that they will outspeed you. Yeah, that's why speed is so important in VGC, right? If I'm max speed there and I know I'm faster than Tyranitar, then I can make that play with confidence, but yeah, not well done on my end there. But yeah, I mean, I brought Ninetales to like control the weather against Tyranitar, but Ninetales still is such a bad matchup against Tyranitar where maybe I'm just thinking, like, it would, like, imagine if I had Sandslash instead, right? Sandslash would have been able to at least go for, like, get one attack off because it has the Focus Sash, so I think that's one of the many reasons why right now the format is not very kind towards Ninetales slash Sandslash. I mean, in addition to just being weak to, like, a lot of the common types, the fact that Ninetales is so reliant on Hail being up is bad, right? Because, like, with other Pokemon, like Torkoal or Venusaur, for example, even if you don't have the weather that you need up, you still do a fair amount of damage. With Ninetales, it's like, alright, if you don't have Hail up, good luck, because Blizzard is going to miss, more likely. You don't have those 100% accurate Blizzards. And then you also have Aurora Veil. That being said, it's not a bad Pokemon, right? You need to bring in the right matchups. This is an example where, like, my opponent doesn't have weather. So Ninetales, at least, I think you have a better justification for bringing. However, what is tricky about my opponent's team here is it's very hyper-offensive, and they have Whimsicott. So what they can do, potentially, is just immediately set up Tailwind. So I think we need to go with Trick Room in this game, actually. So I'm going to go Rillaboom, Gothitelle, Primarina, and... I mean, they don't really have Ice Resists other than Cinderace, so Ninetales is actually interesting. Sandslash might be better, though. It doesn't do enough damage. I mean, this thing is just weak. Ninetales at least can pressure with an Aurora Veil. No, I think Cinderace is probably the best bet. We need as much offense as we can get. Like, yeah. The thing is that this Ninetales, I think ideally you bring it for two reasons. Either to self-activate the weakness policy on Rillaboom, which admittedly we haven't really done because I think it's just a pretty tough setup to get. Mainly because they're both weak to fire. So that's already pretty tough because it means you have to not be going up against like Cinderace, Arcanine, Torkoal, and Charizard, Incineroar. Like, none of those, because a single fire-type Pokemon will immediately threaten you, and you also, like, yeah, like, the question is whether it's worth it to get that weakness policy proc on Rillaboom, because it only has 2 offensive attacks. Okay, it's Whimsicott and Cinderace. I mean, if you have Max Darkness here, I'm just in a lot of trouble, right? You probably do. I keep leading Gothitelle into Cinderace, but I just don't know what the best way to beat Cinderace with this team is, other than maybe, like, I guess we could lead Rillaboom Primarina. That's an approach. I mean, you're gonna max Darkness here, so, like, part of the approach I want to think is stall out my opponent's Dynamax and then go from there. So I switch Cinderace out. I'm gonna max my Cinderace. I don't want to even fake out, like, bother fake outing into the Cinderace slot. I mean, actually, maybe I can just sacrifice Gothitelle turn 1, right? And then get a free switch into Primarina. That seems maybe acceptable. So I'm going to knock off Trick Room turn 1. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the many reasons why, like, Cinderace is just, like, one of the meta-defining Pokemon right now, right? Like, you can lead with it, and if your opponent leads poorly into it, you can snowball so quickly. So it's like, not only do you have to lead correctly into it, but then you also have to call what moves it has and what it's going to go for, because even after Intimidate, this thing still really hurts. So the best way to beat Cinderace is normally through those, like, defensive switches. Okay, they're just going for Fireball, actually. Which... still is enough to get the one-hit KO. That's so strong. I was thinking maybe we could survive that, but not with the Life Orb. Yeah, also, like, G-Max Fireball is also just, like, such a powerful an attack. So, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't really want to switch out into Primarina there, because then Primarina kind of takes too much damage. So at least now I get Primarina in for free, and I can max it. The other approach is to actually bring out my Cinderace. But they're going to just outspeed us with their speed control, right? We have Life Orb, whereas they don't. If I'm my opponent, I Airstream or Fireball into Rillaboom. Yeah, I guess we bring out Primarina right now. Dazzling Gleam was a cool tech on the Whimsicott, by the way, and I like that a lot because it allows you to basically beat, like, Focus Sash stuff. So, for example, Focus Sash Hat, my opponent can go with, like, what would you do to beat Focus Sash? Actually, with Hat, you just bring out the NDD, I think. Unless my opponent doesn't Tailwind here, because I mean, they should always Tailwind to be safe, but I could maybe capitalize off them being a little bit greedy and double up on the Whimsicott. And then max my Cinderace. But they probably have the... I think we have to max Primarina, actually, now that I look at what my opponent has. Yeah. I'm just going to double up onto the Cinderace slot. With the Grassy Glide and Geyser. I need that thing out of the field. Like, our only chance of winning this is to basically have 2 extra turns of Dynamax relative to our opponent. I don't know. I don't have a consistent lead against Whimsicott Cinderace, I think. Whimsicott Cinderace. Mainly because Primarina is like the only thing that can really threaten with damage, but then the Cinderace can always just change his typing turn 1. Like, and it hits almost everything for super effective. Oh, it's actually Trick. This is what I was worried about in the last game. Well, that feels so bad. Oh my gosh. Alright, GG. Well done. Well done. I think we actually maybe had a decent shot there if we did Dynamax, but I don't think I could afford to not max there. Yeah, well played. Let's see. Yeah, honestly, we had a pretty good shot if like, imagine if I stayed in, gone for just, like, knock off until a win. I mean, they're Assault Vest right now, so they can't, I guess they can still Dazzling Gleam. Yeah. They can't Tailwind at least, which is good. Actually, maybe Grassy Glide and Sucker Punch KOs right now into the Cinderace. The only risk in Sucker Punching is that if they actually stay in and click Dazzling Gleam, that's a super effective Dazzling Gleam against us. This is actually still winnable, I think. But, I mean, yeah, I think, like, Switcheroo, Trick, strats are so good in Best of 1, so that's why, like, Pokemon like Whimsicott and Grimmsnarl is, like, are even scary to go up against in Best of 1, because, like, immediately when you see it on turn 1, you have to think about Trick, but so many Whimsicotts now don't use the Switcheroo stuff, so, like, I kind of didn't even consider it, honestly, so nicely done on my opponent's end. Yeah. I think, ultimately, okay, they're going to stay in with both. I don't know. Maybe I should have just went with the Cinderace speed type, but at least this ensures, I think, the knockout onto the opposing Cinderace. I don't even think we KO, actually. Let's see. I think it's going to survive with just a bit. Okay, we actually pick up the knockout. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I can let the G-Max Cinderace get another attack off. And the upside is, I mean, like... Actually, even this thing just Dazzling Gleaming is going to hurt. Okay. However, it's like, if my opponent has Dracovish, like, I can Sucker Punch, you know, Grassy Glide. Primarina has already taken a lot of damage, too. The main thing here is, like, if we had a Dynamax, we probably could have won, but that's why I was like, okay, we have to max Primarina right now. It was a really good matchup against everything my opponent had, and that's why it was a great decision on my opponent to go for that Switcheroo immediately. Toxtricity. That's bad. Actually... with Toxtricity, we can turn into Fire type, right? So I can just Grassy Glide Pyro Ball right now. I mean, if that KOs, Dazzle probably doesn't KO us. There's still a shot. That actually did a lot from Grassy Glide too. Okay, as long as we don't miss here, let's see. I have to change my type. Although, actually, after Life Orb recoil, we probably faint, right? That's what I'm thinking. But if, like, Dracovish is the last one, I don't know. Maybe there's a shot. Whimsicott is Delic. I think we survived Dazzling Gleam here. It's close. It's very close. But I want to say we survive. Okay. This is a crazy game. It's been nothing but crazy games with this team. So, you know, win or lose, whatever. As long as we have a good time, that's good. And there are a lot of good takeaways from these last 2 games as well. The last one, I, you know, made a blatant misplay against the Tyranitar. This one was just a really tough matchup, quite frankly. Wait, they had Indity in the back this whole time? Why didn't they just bring that out? Like, they could have changed the terrain so that I couldn't glide, right? Do you guys think we one-shot with Pyro Ball? I wouldn't think so. I wish we had Protect on, like, anything. Wait. I think there's a way in which we win this. Because they don't have Follow Me, right? So Bounce will get the one-hit KO onto the Whimsicott. Hold on, yeah. If we switch Rillaboom out into Primarina and Bounce, we avoid damage this turn. Like, the way we win this is a 2v1, right? And then I can bring Rillaboom out and then back in for Fake Out Pressure, and then Grassy Glide as well. So it's contingent off Cinderace hitting its attacks, but hold on, I think we actually have a decent shot at winning this. As long as we don't miss Bounce. Oh, actually, I also assumed that Primarina would faint from Expanding Force here. That was maybe a poor assumption to make. Okay, wait, they're Dazzling too, though, right? Yeah, Dazzling Expanding Force I feel like should KO us here. I really needed to. Oh, it's just double Dazzle? Okay. Do you not have Expanding Force? I think I switch out into Rillaboom here if they have Expanding Force. Yeah, I was hoping to sack the Primarina to get Rillaboom back in, which I think would have not guaranteed us the win, but we would need to hit our attacks. Alright, let's see if Bounce hits first. I think Rillaboom survives the Dazzle. It might even survive Expanding Force with the terrain change now. Let's see. That hurts so much. I mean, like I said, that was the way we win. They just Dazzle too. We would have survived the Dazzle on the Rillaboom. We'd KO the Whimsicott. We'd bring in Primarina, and then we would just fake out Hyper Voice. Yeah, we actually had that game if we don't miss, but that's why, I mean, Bounce's accuracy isn't the most reliable. I could have just Pyro Balled there in that position, but if my opponent had Expanding Force, then you just pick up a double KO, I think. Maybe, actually, Primarina probably could have taken an Expanding Force, so it might have been better to just have Pyro Balled into Whimsicott, switched Rillaboom out into Primarina. Wow, that actually sucks. Like, we actually had a really good chance of winning this game, despite not having any Dynamax turns. Yeah, because Rillaboom definitely would have survived the Dazzling Gleam, and then we can just, and then we have Terrain Control, and we have Primarina Rillaboom, right? And then that little bit of Grassy Terrain healing actually makes such a big difference, so we can just fake out into the Indity. Even if you protect whatever, Indity is not picking up a KO. And like, Grassy Glide and Hyper Voice, I think, knocks out, or Grassy Glide Hydro Cannon knocks out the Indity, so, 85% chance. I don't know. I think Bounce is the correct play to go for there because I'm expecting Expanding Force. I don't know why they did an Expanding Force, honestly. Maybe they expected me to go for the Bounce, but I think we actually win that game the majority of the time, which is crazy to say, right? That one sucks. I'm not gonna lie, that hurts a little bit. Just because, like, games like that where it's like where you fall into such a big deficit and then find a way to come back just to have it stolen anyway, like, definitely hurts a little bit, but it is what it is. Bounce was definitely going to pick up the KO. Dazzle wasn't going to KO Rillaboom, and then, yeah. I think we win that even if the Rillaboom, or the Indity has Protect, because there's no way it survives a Grassy Glide in any attack from Primarina. Oh well. Okay, last game with this team. We definitely cannot go Ninetales Sand Slash, I don't think. That looks really bad here. Yeah. I think it was a good run with this team, but you can see as we play against a lot of opponents, like, they just, like, so many standard teams are just so anti Ninetales Sand Slash that, like, having these are basically, it's like dead weight for us, right? So then the question is, okay, I mean, we could go Cinderace, Ninetales. That's one route. Because Cinderace does pretty well into my opponent's team across the board. Primarina is the other Pokemon I'm thinking of maxing here. But I'm actually thinking like Cinderace, Rillaboom, Ninetales, and Primarina. That last one really hurts. I was like, oh, I found a clever way to win this too. But yeah, that's the thing. I mean, that's why like Cinderace becomes a little bit less reliable outside of Dynamax. Just would have been so sick to win that game without getting anything off, or getting not getting a single max move off. We almost pulled off the comeback. Honestly, I think my opponent should have just switched in that Indeedee earlier. I don't know why they didn't. Like, they gave away Toxtricity for no reason. Cinderace and Incineroar. Okay. This isn't great. What do I want to do here? I mean, they have the Intimidate on us, right? We are faster than Incineroar, so we always fake out the Incineroar, Dynamax, and then, like... I can't even risk Knuckling here, though, I don't think. Primarina lead would have been so good here, but I didn't feel... Actually, yeah, I don't know. Maybe you could justify leading Primarina. I wanted the fake out pressure, but the more I think about it, the more I think leading Primarina is pretty safe here. Because then we could just Dynamax turn 1 with it, right? If I'm my opponent, what am I doing here? Fake out, Rillaboom, and then Airstream it. So I guess I maybe just sack the Rillaboom. Cinderace is definitely going to max here, and I'm expecting like an Airstream. Actually, here's what we do, I think. I think we just high jump kick into the Incineroar. Let's KO Incineroar turn 1, and then bring in Primarina in for free. That seems okay. I'm still so sad about that last one. It's important that when you play Pokemon, like if I weren't recording right now, I'd honestly probably take a break, just because that last one was just a little frustrating. It's important to know, like, when, yeah, to stop playing. And I think losses like that feel demoralizing, where it's like, yeah, you like, I had a decent chance to win that in the end, even after such a bad start. But, okay, at least we should knock out Incineroar here. Oh my god. Oh. All right. What can I even do, man? It is what it is. Yeah, I mean, now Cinderace outspeeds us. Okay, the one upside is that, like, trying to stay positive, but that's... Like, if we trade the knockouts there, then at least it's fine. Now you can even cycle in. I mean, to be honest, like, what the problem is that I'm, like, working really hard to try to even stay afloat, right? Because I led poorly. So, I just haven't been leading, like, super well, for example. But, I mean, the RNG today has definitely stung a little bit. So, here, like, does my opponent Airstream again, or do they Knuckle? Because I can Sucker Punch, right, into Cinderace. Oh, it's just that Ninetales is so... Having Ninetales right now in the back is so useless. If I'm my opponent, I would max Knuckle. But they might just Airstream. Alright, I'm going to go for the Hailstorm, hoping that they end up going for another Airstream. And the reason for them to Airstream is because they don't want to feint to a Max Starfall on my end. You know, sometimes you have these bad string of games, and it is what it is. Like, I think the reality is we'll probably go 0-3 today. It's been a very long time since that's happened, but it happens, right? Like, and I want people who are watching this to know that, you know, even the best players that you know in the world have these losing streaks every now and then. And sometimes it's just a mix. Sometimes it's the team not working. Okay, they Airstream, so at least we KO Cinderace. We're not out of this yet, I guess. But Ninetales, like, that's why I wanted to KO the Incineroar, because, like, in the Weather War, it's really important to just pick up knockouts, so they have one fewer option to switch out into. It's probably going to be a parting shot here. Or Snarl, okay. This is still doable with Dynamax Primarina. The problem is just that we're going to be at so many decreased stages of special attack, but at least we called this turn correctly. I should knock out the Cinderace, I think. Okay. Yeah, I really wanted Incineroar gone because if we get that out of the way, then Primarina ends up not eating up that Snarl, and we pick up a knockout, and my opponent's forced to switch something else in. Like, that turn 1 trade I would totally take if we pick up the knockout there. At least we got the last turn correct, but missing high jump kick is actually probably like one of the worst attacks to miss, because not only do you miss obviously an incredibly powerful attack, but it's like you also take 50% of damage, which is a pretty big deal. But I don't want to focus on the RNG today because part of the reason why was, like, I was already in a disadvantageous position. If I just led better, we would have been in a much better spot. So, like, they bring out Togekiss, though. Okay, yeah, this is doable. This is still doable. I want to Aurora Veil. I mean, we should play under the assumption Tyranitar is the last Pokemon, right? Like, why would you bring out Togekiss otherwise? So what do you do here, my opponent? Do you Flare Blitz? Do you read the Ninetales Protect? Do you just switch out into Tyranitar? I don't know, Geyser's not even KOing Incineroar, and I think that's switching out, to be honest. Okay, I went for Protect Hailstorm, hoping they switch Tyranitar in so I can Aurora Veil next turn, but they don't switch, which is not good. I mean, at least we can Blizzard Geyser this next turn. Wow, Togekiss is slower than Incineroar. Okay, I didn't expect that. Is Yawn coming out then? Yeah. It's a Ninetales. Huh. That was a really passive turn on their end. I mean, Blizzard should KO Togekiss now. The problem is that Flare Blitz will KO us, and then it's a 1v1, and the assumption is that Tyranitar is the last one, right? And if we just Blizzard Geyser there, I don't know. I guess they were reading, like, I don't know, why Yawn into Ninetales? Why not Primarina? I'm wondering if there's value to Aurora Veil here. Like, Aurora Veil and Geyser? We need crits at this point, probably. Oh, I forgot Incineroar had the speed boost. That's why it's outspeeding Togekiss. Okay, I'm just going to Blizzard Geyser then. With Primarina at -2 special attack, I don't think there's much we can do. Unless we freeze Incineroar, actually. Freeze would be huge. Yeah, the best way for us to have KO'd it was just on turn 1. Gets a lot harder afterwards. Okay, they keep clicking Snarl, which I guess I understand to a point. I mean, I guess the idea here is that you don't want Ninetales, like you're expecting Focus Sash on Ninetales, because they don't know where the Focus Sash is on this team. Max Geyser probably does, what, like 40, 50-ish? Yeah. Alright, Rain is up, but I mean, the only way we have a chance of winning this if for some reason, like, Amoonguss is the last one. But it's got to be Tyranitar based off how this game is played out, I think. And then I guess we could still win against Tyranitar if we get a freeze with Blizzard onto it. But the thing is that it's probably going to be weakness policy as well. We'll end up activating the... I mean, it has to be Tyranitar, right? I had Hail, so there's no way... Yeah. I'm just surprised they didn't switch out that Tyranitar earlier, but I guess this was their game plan. Just stall it out. Get the Snarls off, know that you have the weakness policy so that you'll survive. That makes sense to me. So I think the way we win this at this point is a crit Hydro Cannon onto the Tyranitar. That's pretty much it. Yeah. I don't know. Ninetales just doesn't do anything for us here, but like, I don't think Sandslash or Gothitelle was really going to do very much either, quite frankly. I mean, you just Snarl Rock Slide here if you're my opponent. So I guess we go for the Hydro Cannon crit onto Tyranitar, right? There's no point in trying to KO Incineroar. That's not really the one doing damage. Maybe going for Blizzard first would have been better. Like Blizzard, instead of protecting. Okay. Oh, they finally Flare Blitz. Okay. Actually, was No, I don't think Hyper Voicing here was correct, because they're going to outspeed us the next turn. So we just need to go for the crit. I'm kind of expecting a flinch based off how today's been going, but no flinch. Okay. Can we get a crit to make up for everything? The answer to that is no. I guess we could still freeze with Blizzard, but yeah, they had weakness policy this whole time. I think the problem with today was that we kind of got overwhelmed by offense way too quickly early on. And a lot of that is dictated by Cinderaces, right? We went up against Cinderaces pretty consistently today. I think the last game we would have won if we don't miss, and then this game, we led poorly, so leading Primarina would have given us a better shot, but honestly, if we trade the Incineroar for Rillaboom turn 1, I think we're actually in really good shape, because the main problem is that our Primarina has just got completely shut down by Incineroar today. Alright, we go for a Blizzard Freeze here. That's our only out. Blizzard Freeze is Tyranitar, I don't know. I mean, even with the Freeze, like, Hyper Voice isn't even doing enough damage, but it's our only chance. You gotta look for those small ways to win, right? But, yeah, we don't get it. Okay. Yeah, first time going 0-3 in a while, but I think it's important to post an episode like this because losses are how you get better, and sometimes you have to evaluate what did I do wrong. So I want to spend just like 2 minutes at the end of this talking about how we could have improved and whether, like, is it a problem with playing, is it a problem with the team, because those are both really valuable questions. So ultimately, I think if anything, this episode highlights how going up against hyper aggro offense stuff is really, really tough, right? We struggled against going against, like, all the teams we went up against, like, there was, you know, early pressure with, like, either potential Tailwind or Cinderace, just going for these really powerful max moves. And Sandslash and Ninetales are cool, but they didn't really do anything for us today. I mean, pretty much at all. And then, so that's a good question to ask, right? If you're going up against meta standard teams and you're not able to bring in these Pokemon consistently, you have to ask yourself what role are these Pokemon fulfilling, right? Because it means that you're basically pigeonholed into a smaller selection of Pokemon. So I think, you know, what I've learned from playing with this team in the last couple of episodes is it's really fun. Sandslash is really cool, but it is not a Pokemon I would personally use for, like, very high-level competitive play because the problem is that it just doesn't do enough damage. The top teams all have really good counters to it, and it often becomes dead weight, so much to the point where it'd be better just to have any other Pokemon in Team Preview. I mean, that being said, what Ninetales Sandslash does do is it forces our opponent into bringing, you know, their anti-weather stuff, which was what we saw in that first episode. So we know Tyranitar is probably going to come out. We know that they're probably going to try to commit to Tailwind, but the reality is that even with that knowledge today, we still weren't able to win. And even though we didn't get baited into, say, bringing Sandslash, like, you know, we still took some L's. I do think the last two games, like, once again, would have played out very differently without that little bit of RNG. But once again, ideally, you wanna be able to play to a point where even with bad RNG, you're still able to win, right? And yeah, the reality is that, like, I dug myself in a really bad hole in that second game. I mean, that was mainly just from playing around. Yeah, I wasn't sure what the item was going to be. These games were all really... Okay, this third game wasn't really close. The first game I messed up, and Cinderace almost pulled the entire comeback by itself. I think the early game was fine, honestly, but once again, it's like what I feel like I'm trying to often do is, like, wait out my opponent's Dynamax, and I think in a format where there's so much hyper aggro offense, like, sure, our Cinderace can max, but the reality is that most teams support their Cinderaces better, and that's mainly because of speed control or, I mean, speed control is the main thing, right? Like, the fact is, if we bring our Cinderace and we go up against, say, Grimmsnarl or Whimsicott or Talonflame, any of those would just Thunder Wave or Tailwind us. So, yeah, I think, like, this is an example of where I feel like maybe we didn't have the best tools to start off in the matches, and even then, like, we you know, we were definitely, I think all the matches we played today were winnable. Of course, if those RNG rolls go in our favor, it becomes a lot easier, but even like, once again, like, if you're losing a game solely off a single miss on turn 1, then is that really a consistent strategy? Sure, like, 90% of the time it works out, but that 10%, like, do you, like, I just fall into a hole so big that I can't even recover from, and that's a problem, right? So that's kind of the risk of just going for high jump kick immediately, and that's why leading is so important in this game, because I led poorly, so I was like, okay, how do I, like, come up with the best play to come out of this hole? And it's like, when you're already starting from behind, you need everything to go right? And that includes, like, you know, hitting your attacks and being able to call the switches correctly or whatnot. So yeah, overall, I think really fun time with this team. Obviously, sucks to end it on this, but I think there are a lot of good takeaways from this episode one way or another, and I don't want to focus only on the RNG today, because at the end of the day, there were definitely better things we could have done in all three of those games. That second one is tough, because I don't know, I feel like I'm probably going to Dynamax Primarina there almost every time, but I guess because we got rid of the Life Orb, I really could have been a little bit more aware of the switch stuff. It's just funny, because, like, that first game, that's exactly what I was afraid of. they didn't go for it. That second game, I was like, oh, I hope they don't have it. And they have it. But, you know, once again, I think it's important to post these episodes because everyone thinks, oh, like Pokemon players, like good Pokemon players, they just win so consistently. How come I, you know, have these bad losing streaks? But the reality is, I'm telling you, like every player you follow, every player you watch, definitely go on these losing streaks every now and then. And it's a combination, right? Sometimes you just run into a bunch of bad team matchups. Sometimes like you playing poorly in one game leads into another one, and then it just kind of compounds up. Sometimes you get really unlucky. And I think to describe this episode, it was a combination of, you know, not the best play on my end, us not having a great team matchup, and me not playing to the best of this team's ability, us being limited because Sandslash was honestly absolutely useless in all of those matches. And that's not like a problem, right? For some teams, it's like, it's valuable. Like, even if that one Pokemon only comes out in like 10% of matches, if it hard wins those 10% of matchups, then it's still possibly, you know, worth bringing. For me personally, I think after playing with Sandslash, it's probably not that kind of Pokemon, but there are certain Pokemon that really fulfill that niche in the metagame, right? So, you know, I don't want to blame it solely on luck. I don't want to blame it solely on play or the team, because the reality is that it's a little bit of a combination of all three, and losses often get compounded to the point where you can point to a couple factors within those three. So I've been rambling on for a bit, but wanted to talk because obviously, you know, losses are the best way to improve in this game, and I think there were a lot of important lessons to take away. Even though we got a little bit unlucky, I think there were still many areas to have improved our play. And once again, it goes back to team preview in the beginning, right? The fact is that we were playing reactionary against our opponent instead of dictating the pace, which you often do either if you have fast Pokemon or if you have Tailwind, for example, or if you have Hard Trick Room. You want to be moving first in Pokemon, right? And the reality is that we were not moving first for the first couple of turns in all of those games. And because of that, we're basically trying to come back, which is why the nature of this metagame right now is like super hyper offensive. So yeah, that's going to be it for this episode, guys, and for our time with the Sandslash team. We had a lot of, you know, good wins the last couple of days, but finally take a couple of L's. But I think, once again, it's really important to showcase losses, so hopefully you can learn a thing or two from them, because I definitely have. So thanks for watching, guys. As always, if you guys enjoyed, please share, support by leaving a like, and I'll see you guys soon. All right, peace.